Physically below the brain is the brain stem, and the interior nervous system organs and circadian organs, circulatory system, excuse me. And then below the brain, metaphorically, is in underbrain, unconscious, subconscious, unconscious when it's out of our reach, subconscious when it's in our reach, and we're not aware of it. Now, what about the connotations of the skeletons in the Insane in the Brain music video, which hang from the ceiling, in the sense the skeletons underground, in the ground, are above them. So the ground is above them. So they're either upside down or they're underground. And so then there's a metaphoric membrane separating the upper and lower, the reasons, by reason or way of intent for action, in terms that the higher action is for production of creativity, expression, it nourishes the soul. The lower is to maintain stimulatory cycling of muscles or organ fluids, desires and prioritization in the physical sense and so on, and sustains the body. The two come together and there is an identity that can sustain the society. And now there's a social membrane, a social upkeep, a surface tension, like in the Neuromancer book, that if moved too quickly, the tension breaks and the scene is now broken. All eyes on that individual, for good or for worse. And when it's maintained, it only expands or it grows, and it grows thicker, and it's harder to break. So it's all metaphor, and they're looking at the idea that down here in Earth, people are pretty much insane inside the membrane of this reality, but as well, not necessarily that we're insane, but that the concept of having the separation that we perceive here is in itself what harbors insanity. And maybe in this view, not necessarily as a side effect or a negative result, but as the purpose of that consciousness experience in a scenario, an environment where the stability of the horizons, the consistency of the parameters is dependent much less on, well, it's not that it's dependent less, but that it's much more capable of various and intense or accelerated change, which is the equivalent of saying the car of your life might go too fast for you to control, and things could happen that you can't unhappen, and which is it's like a dangerous thing. But if it's all truly secured, then it's no more dangerous than hanging skeletons up in a studio to shoot a music video and have that type of presentation that's just spooky, but it doesn't actually incur any damage. And this is again with a reasonable human mindset in view, where we're saying you take a bunch of people and reasonably what they conclude is the most of the law, except for where it incurs only that individual, where we choose for ourselves what we're doing. In the sense, though, if it's insane being down here in general, being human, it doesn't mean that what we conceive of as insane or beyond the parameters of what we're capable of are the norm or are expected or are the reasonable conclusion or expectation for the majority or for anyone in that sense. For instance, somebody doesn't get some type of higher sense. It doesn't mean, in this view, it doesn't mean that we can go then do whatever we want to that individual like they're unaware. It just means that maybe everyone can assist in that awareness. And in the old view, it was if they're not aware, they have no rights and anything can happen to them in the universe. The new view should have something that preserves what that is designed for, which is to gain power selectively and to protect knowledge more or less inclusively in order to carry it. But that served its purpose and then completely served the opposite, because it was infiltrated, and now you have a vault that was infiltrated. Well, it means the mafia is using the vault to hold the people's shit and it's no longer serving its purpose. And so then the new idea should maintain continuity, because the idea behind that is if you wanted to get enough power to then break the light speed barrier and overthrow this power difference, like a power differential, you have to gain the collective power of a group that is collectively powerful enough and responsible enough to maintain the realm exactly the way it is. So it's like it protects itself. In other words, in order to see how that shit works, you'd have to already be a part of it, you know? And so, but the idea is once people gain enough awareness and there's individuals who are acting as one to assist in the mental liberation of humanity, it's only natural, and it seems to be the default for civilizations everywhere, and not in that sense civilizations, but maybe self-sustaining, self-aware collectives and groups that have material and higher dimensional access. And so in that sense, what we do here is based upon that objective morality that exists whether we're in a time prison or not. But that's with the idea of what must be done in order to protect ourselves and our timeline and so on. Basically, people couldn't know these things without flipping out and going Rambo or going Grinch or going Dracula. And it seems that we have enough of a developed immunity to the complexity of the information now, probably through technological mitigation, that we're not flipping out, and so the more opportunities appear and the next steps are more clear and they're less of a stumble and less of a leap and more of a gradual walk, and instead of a gallop as well. However, there might be periods of acceleration with that, but ultimately people are becoming more aware, and it's giving us more of an opportunity of how we're going to live in the future.